And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the brand new, hot, fresh patch 13.1 with network fixes, optimization, memory fixes, audio, minor balance changes, probably lots of bugs. Welcome, Giga. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's good. It's good. It's a bit of an unexpected week. I guess, yeah, we should just dive straight in. I mean, otherwise, I've been playing hardcore and it's been interesting, especially with like random events happening and bosses all over the place. So that's been a bit weird, but it's been good so far. I'll probably talk on that a bit later. So first off, I suppose we should just jump straight into the patch and just see what's been going on with it. It's 30.1 did release. It wasn't what we expected. There was no Unity update. There was no wipe, which I don't think is necessarily a terrible thing. But the fact that Unity didn't come first, I mean, this is the thing. It's like anybody who was expecting anything else was just clearly didn't read the roadmap. The roadmap said Unity first and then this second. And I had assumed that in most likelihood, they were kind of contingent on each other. So you needed to do Unity and then this, but apparently not for most of the things in there. I did release a video which was like my slight concern before the patch had actually dropped, which is about like basically all the line items on 13.1 have been completed pretty much, except they missed out a couple, one of which was, improved online FPS, which is a huge item that lots of people were looking for. And so maybe that piece is Unity specific. It's hard to tell. And so without Unity, maybe we can't get the FPS improvement. I don't really know, or maybe it ended up just not being possible, or I'm not sure. We'll have to see. So either which way, we got the 13.1 update itself, and it says, just from the patch notes, the key goal of the update was to fundamentally change the architecture of player display and synchronization on the client and the connection to the server. So, as I've called it before, this was the desync patch, and we got the goals that were achieved: increase the number of network entities in the raid on the streets of Tarkov, and future changes are possible on other locations as well. So it's just streets for now. I did play streets a bit this week, and it is chock-a-block with scavs.
What does chock-a-block mean? I'm guessing full of scavs.
Yeah. Is that a Britishism?
Must be.
I was underground in Concordia, and basically by the time I'd like looted all the scavs that I'd killed and wandered around and killed a few more, the next set would spawn, and I was stuck down there for ages. It was just more spawning and spawning at the other end and shooting and then killing them and then going over, checking their stuff, and then more spawning at the start. It's like actually kind of nuts. So there just seem to be a lot more scavs on streets.
Like players scavs, AI scavs, both?
The AI predominantly. Yeah. I don't know if there's more player scavs. I'm not really sure. I didn't actually run into many player scavs, but there was a lot of AI scavs on the streets.
Like you think there's normal spawning more in the same locations, or you think there's new spawns? You know what I mean? Like
I reckon they're just spawning. Yeah, I just think they're spawning more in the same places.
Okay.
Would be my gut instinct, but yeah, it was crazy. There's like somebody like threw a grenade over from construction into Concordia as well, and I was in one of the buildings. The two scavs just like ran up the stairs. Like it was just madness. It was just scavs everywhere. It was insane. So yeah, that seems to have done what they said at least. I mean, performance-wise, we'll get into that a little bit later, but it seems your mileage may vary. It depends on the computer. It's very random.
Yeah.
For me, like the first raid that I had was like flawless, and then sometimes it's been super low, sometimes it's been super high. It seems to depend whether things are spawning in, how many entities there are sort of nearby. I had FPS in the first raid of 110 on streets, and then I had lows of like 45, not even scoped. So it's just like, I don't really know. But it's a bit strange. I've also had some more, like on loading in the first place, I've been having some issues just with my setup. My GPU was hitting 100% and kicking all the streams out and having to restart all the recordings and all the streams a couple of times. It's only on the load in, which is kind of annoying. And sometimes on the exit, but mostly on the load. It was like 50% of the raids that I did, just like 100% in my GPU and just broke all the streams, which is kind of annoying.
I'll have to check in on Avenue because I know prior to this patch on streets after a raid, his like PC would freeze at the raid ending, and you would see it on stream, like it would just freeze for like a solid couple of seconds. So I wonder if he's having any new issues now at the beginning of the raid.
Yeah, I don't really know what that's about because that doesn't happen on any other maps, and maybe it's just a VRAM thing again. Like I always come back to this because of my conversation with Chipper and him being like, "You don't really have enough VRAM to run streets fully. But I was like reading a load of other people's threads on this stuff, and I put everything to super, super, super low, and it's still like absolutely maxes out that 8 gig. It's like, oh man, like really, like low
Yeah.
textures, low everything. It's just like push as much onto the X3D as possible. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and get a second PC for streaming. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Anyway, so the other things which I mean, it's very hard to tell for now is improve the hit registration accuracy, increase the accuracy of positioning of players on the server and the client, reduce chance of desync, network traffic optimization, and memory consumption optimization. Apparently, so these were the things that were written on the roadmap in the first place. That's nothing new. There have been a couple of tests. I think you pointed out to me, Friendly Guy was doing a test, right?
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Like the desync test. Yeah, because I think he said he hadn't released the original video. For those who hadn't seen it, basically put on Twitter there was like a desync test that he'd done. I think he might have done it on stream a while ago. And the original one was he would walk backwards and somebody would run behind him and be quite close. I guess they were they just like side on? I think they were just right next to him, right?
Yeah, like he was like standing still. The guy was in front of me, like, okay, I'm gonna walk backwards, and then you're gonna sprint, catch up, and get behind me, and then shoot me when you're behind me. And so he did that on the old patch, and like on Friendly Guy's POV, the enemy was not behind him, but you could see them turn at an angle where it's like they're clearly like not looking parallel to him, like they're looking a little bit even further ahead of him, but he's like 2 to 3 feet distance, so it's like the desync is massive. And then he tried on the new patch the same like similar test, and the gap is like much closer, like 6 inches maybe. Like you could still see him like off to the side, but he's not like 3 feet in front of him.
Yeah.
It actually looks real. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that means necessarily in the grand scheme of things. It may just be like it feels better. But yeah, it looks promising.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see, aren't we? We're gonna have to see. I don't really know yet. It feels okay. I didn't have any weird situations, but because I've kind of like I'm sort of the weird hermit who's gone to live in the woods. Like I'm not a member of Tarkov Society at the moment because I'm playing hardcore. I'm like doing my own thing. So people are like, "Hey, how's the PvP like desync feel?" And I'm just like, "I'm just looting scavs, man. I don't know." Like I'm not. So it's hard to tell right now without just like bashing it out on factory or something. That's really the only way that you'd be able to really test it. But I was like, look, there's plenty of people who are testing this out. It's not just me, and me on my own as well. I still probably wouldn't be able to come to any concrete conclusions because it's kind of anecdotal as well, and people are doing those tests. The Friendly Guy test was probably the best one.
I thought it was very clever. I was like, damn, that's really clever how he set that up. I never really thought about the like chase me while I walk backwards so I could see your angle. It's pretty smart.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I enjoyed that. I did enjoy it. So yeah, all of that is good. It does seem like sometimes there's still there. So people are saying that there's still some DC sometimes, but yeah, on the whole, if the stable position is now, I don't even know how much it would be, but if it's say 60 milliseconds or 70 milliseconds or something, rather than being 250, then that's going to be a huge change. It's going to be just way better that way. It does seem like a massive improvement. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what the implications for that is about pushing people around corners and things. Whether you get less leeway now, whether they'll see you earlier, what they should do, if you were based it off the Friendly Guy test.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that the real world application is that the latency is reduced, by 50%. I mean, we'd be getting, what was CZTL's?
He said it's up to like 250 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, let's say 125. I mean, that's pretty good. I can't remember the industry standard, but you're in like human reaction time there, or maybe that's like pro reaction time. I forget all this stuff.
Yeah, it's like, but I see your point. You're like into sort of the reaction time, like ping limitations kind of thing, as opposed to it being like 250 the whole time because the server's just scuffed and just not calculating fast enough.
I can't remember the like quote unquote industry standard or like the average across a bunch of games. I think it's like sub 100, but I can't remember again. So yeah, that would be nice.
So either which way, that's pretty good. The next thing that I didn't actually expect to see here, because this one actually wasn't on the roadmap, but I guess they've been working alongside the other stuff, so they just put it in, was the major update to the Oculus Spatializer. That wasn't there. They weren't supposed to be doing audio fixes for this, but they said they fixed positioning issues that could occur with a large number of audio sources, weapon sounds, the gunshots are more volumetric, with sound positioning retained, and fixed sharp jumps from mono to stereo. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that, because I don't know which sounds
Or
playing
stereo,
mono and
which
which
are
players.
mono.
Surely
Yeah.
they're all stereo, aren't they? All stereo sounds? I don't really
No
know.
idea. I mean,
I mean,
I would guess the like ear ringing is stereo. I mean, mono. Like when you
oh
get shot
yeah,
in the
that's
head.
true.
But otherwise, I don't know. But even that could be stereo. It's hard. It's really hard to say.
I don't. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure what that means. Adjust the interior reverb when the character's wearing active headsets. So I don't really know yet. Lots of people seem to be saying that the audio does sound better. I'm not 100% sure. It sounds quite cool, but I went back and actually looked at them. I had a couple of situations where I didn't hear somebody where I thought I should hear them. I think I think there's some more glitches with it basically that need to be ironed out, but it sounds pretty good. The actual sound itself sounds decent. So as long as all the audio is playing when it should be playing, and they can iron all of that out, then I think it should be okay for now. Although I've not been in a huge range of situations. I've not been in like underground reserve or anything like that. I think there's still some weird stuff. It was like one peg. Did he post something about how you could VoIP somebody at the top of the dome, down at the bottom of the stairs in the corridor, and like some weird stuff like that? But
VoIP doesn't seem to be working. At least working as you would expect. The verticality aspect, you can just go through all the floors. But I did see one thing he posted where he was on Shoreline on like the resort area. Do you know how like you got the glass hallways that connect east to admin and admin to west? Well, he was like standing outside of it, and he would have someone run across the glass hallway, but he would break windows, and the open windows that were like completely broken, it like changed the sound profile. And then
oh really?
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. There's a bit of a dynamicism.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how that looks in the future, but I'm definitely probably a bit of a learning curve there, and maybe some bugs that can count. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I actually do think that we're getting there with the audio. Like, it seems like maybe implementing Steam Audio first time and now implementing Oculus the second time. You'd imagine the team would have actually learned a bunch of stuff, and they seem to be a bit quicker. I know that it was a bit of a slow start prioritizing all the maps, but now that the maps have been kind of like mapped out or meshed out, they seem to be actually making relatively swift progress with like fixing some of the weird stuff and like the things we've talked about previously with people going behind things and it being like really just cut off, like muffled, not muffled, muffled, not muffled. They seem to be fixing a lot of this stuff, and yeah, things like that. They give me hope. I'm feeling quite hopeful about audio at the moment, actually, just based on the way it sounds. So yeah, it's decent. It is decent. We're still getting used to the headset changes anyway. So some of this is also just you just have to play for a while and just get used to it, because when things change, you're expecting the old sound and you hear the new sound. So you have to like retrain your brain to understand the new sound. So we have to wait a bit for that anyway. But we are making progress. You know, it's good. These things are good. So the balancing changes. Not much change for the actual game. This is basically the only thing that changed. No one was really expecting this, I don't think. And if I understand correctly, well, I guess I could say that in a second. So what they said on the patch notes was reduce the damage to blacked out limbs by 30% and slightly increase blunt damage. Now, let's just get blunt damage out of the way to start with. It seems like that was basically just a 10% increase to blunt damage overall. How much effect that really has, I don't think it has much. I can't really think of any situations where it's like really critical, unless you're shooting somebody with bullets that just won't pen. It's basically a small buff to crappy rounds.
It's pretty small. 10% is pretty small.
But it's small, so it's I can't really think like what situations. Maybe it's like one or two less rounds against certain armors, something like that, to kill somebody through them before the armor's blacked. And if you're shooting FMJ out of a UMP against a Zabralo or something, it'll take slightly less time. But yeah, the reduced damage to blacked out limbs by 30% was kind of intriguing. So when they applied this, a bunch of people were testing it, and it appeared that it only seemed to affect the damage spillover to other limbs that were not like the head and the thorax, which is kind of weird. And maybe not the stomach too. I can't remember what the original implementation was. So it was
No, I
like your
think you're
limbs
right.
would be taking less damage, like your arm. So your arm gets blacked out, you get shot again. Your other arms and legs were taking the small amount of damage, but the thorax and the head were taking the same amount of damage. So the ramification of that was actually none whatsoever, because the head and the thorax would get blacked out exactly at the same speed as they used to, because they were taking the same amount of damage to the black limb that they were before. And it's only those two going to zero that matters for things like leg meta, say. So that was a bit strange. And then there was a someone from the community team on BSG said, "Oh no, this is intended behavior." And then Nice Guy actually had a poll, because there's lots of people asking about this, and it was a bit confusing. Nice Guy actually put up a poll on his Twitter, I think, of whether people wanted it to apply to the whole body or not. And he said, "Oh, BSG are actually going to be looking." I think they asked him maybe, or maybe he asked them whether he could make a poll. And I don't really know. It wasn't, make this poll. I will abide by the result. Like, it's nothing
Right.
quite like that. But BSG were supposedly looking at this poll on Nice Guy's Twitter. An overwhelming majority of people said that blunt damage change, decrease, nerf, whatever you want to call it, should apply to the whole body, everything,
Yeah, the
not just
blacked
to the
out
limbs.
Yeah.
And then they changed it. So now it applies to the whole body and not just the limbs. So blunt damage, blacked out, splash, leg meta damage has
Radiated.
now
Damn.
radiated damage, propagated damage, whatever you want to call it. That has now been nerfed by, basically 30%.
So is it 30? Like, is that calculation after the fact, or is it like each instead of like 0.7? It's now, because I think 0.7 is the arms. It's now. Oh, I don't even know what 30% of 0.7. I can't do math like that. I have to pull out a calculator.
So
Or is it
before?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so exactly. And this was my question when I first saw that line before it even appeared. The stomach previously was 150%, so you took the extra 50% damage. The arms were 0.7, so you took less damage, and the legs were 100, so it was just flat, or 1. It's just flat damage, the same as it would be normally. And my question was, is it going to be just a straight up minus? Yeah, is it just going to be a straight up minus 30% off all of them? As in, like, you just take 30% away, so from 150 goes to 120, and legs go to 70, and then arms go from 0.7 to 0.4. Is that going to be the way? Or are they multiplying it by 0.7 to remove 30% from the existing values? Now, I didn't test it, and we were having a discussion about it in my Discord this morning. And I went to just go and check the wiki, because I was like, I'm sure someone's probably done this already. Like, I don't need to go and do this work myself. Like, it's something very, very easy that somebody could go and do. And the wiki has actually updated it already to the multiplier one. I don't know who tested it. I don't know what happened with that, but on the wiki it already says 105 stomach, 49 arms, and 70 legs. So it's not as big a nerf as it could have been, I guess. And the effect is, they've reduced the amount of damage by 30% based on the previous amount.
Right.
Which I'm surprised at. Like, normally they just go, minus. Like, basically don't normally like multiplying. They normally like addition and subtraction. So
yeah,
I thought they'd do it the easy way, but no, apparently not. So now we have a bit of a weird thing. 105 on the stomach. This is according to the wiki. I haven't tested it myself, so don't shoot me if it's wrong. But I'm assuming that the wiki guys have tested it already. They must have, otherwise they wouldn't have updated it. So so arms are basically 50%. Stomach is pretty much 1, and legs are now 70%. Broadly.
Is that effectively the same as instead of doing a multiplier at the end, you could just change them individually to 0.5, 0.7? You know what I mean?
Well, I guess that's probably what they did. I don't know programmatically what they've done, but
okay.
I don't know
if there's any implications of doing it one way versus the other.
You mean if there's like an extra, like, it shouldn't be. I mean, those operations should be independent, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I mean, either which way, I don't think it's a massive change. There was some people discussing about it, like certain things like 45 rip are now like 1 more bullet. 9mm rip is 1 more bullet. So it doesn't really matter that much. It more hurts the weapons and the cartridges that are lower damage in the first place. So the PPSH and the Kedo and things like that, they use lower damage rounds, but it's a high rate of fire anyway, but you have to hit just more of them, right? Like the PPSH was 7 shots before to the leg, and now it's 10. I think even with the highest damage. So practically whether you'll see that, like there'll be some situations maybe where you won't kill them where you would have before if they're behind cover or whatever, but like if you just catch someone out in the open and you get the time to shoot off all those bullets, they'll still die, and it doesn't really affect the higher, like the leg meta stuff, if that makes sense. The things that are expensive are actually really, really good. I think the KS is probably where it matters the most. I did see Logical did some testing with the KS, and you have to hit someone in the leg with every single pellet now with trap 10, I believe, otherwise they won't die, which is actually quite a good change. That was one of the ones that's like the most extreme example of leg meta, and you die in a single shot to KS 23 trap 10 like every time, because you only had to hit 5, I think, and it was just very likely. So now you have to hit all of them, and that is just a lot better, I think. And then there was like discussions all over the place, but someone else was arguing that it's technically a nerf to some of the like low damage like high pen rounds as well, because you're not just going to be able to spray at people,
right?
Because arms are going to absorb a lot more damage now, and that kind of thing.
Armor's back, baby.
Like, yeah, maybe to some extent. I guess that's kind of unfortunate in some ways, because you have to do so much more like raw damage. It actually buffs like the 7.62 and nerfs 5.56 and 5.45 like relatively a bit, because the damage threshold is now bigger. Like everyone's effective HP pool is now higher, because some proportion of those shots are going to black limbs. So you're doing less damage overall now than you were. So now damage is like even more important than it was before. So it kind of pushes that meta up a bit more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'm looking at the wiki now, and I see that it is updated via as you described. So I guess I just wanted to make sure it was gonna, like, the information was gonna be easily digestible. You know what I mean? And it is. So it was. I was worried if they're gonna be like, okay, it's still 0.7. You got like the breakdown, but then like also multiply by 0.3 or 0.7. So anyways, okay, so here's the thing. When I first saw these two lines, reduce damage by blacked out limbs by 30%, slightly increase blunt damage, I'm like, okay, so they're like rebalancing your health system in a sense, or like, this idea like, okay, we're gonna reduce leg meta, but we're gonna buff when bullets hit their armor and blunt damage effectively. But that's not. It doesn't seem to be the case initially, according to BSG. They specifically wanted to target just the limbs, and as you said, it doesn't affect time to kill. But I guess you could argue it affects like your overall health, or like your which I don't know how much that matters, like healing / CMSing, because now you have like, you may have to like heal less, I guess, or like CMS less. But I just only see like, I don't know. I'm of the opinion. Okay, here's the thing. It's like, I'm of the opinion that they messed up. But we'll never really know. That's just kind of my own personal opinion. But I'm curious now how it's gonna play out. Like, is this too much of a swing? Because let's give them the benefit of the doubt, assume that that's not what they wanted to do. Like, have it affect the thorax, stomach, or thorax and head. Is leg meta just crap now? Like, I don't know. I mean, as you were saying, the low damage rounds are probably gonna be affected the most, but it's interesting because like Tarkov like rewards headshots significantly, which I like, but almost to like a fault, because you have like the crazy spray of Tarkov. So like half the times you in like the aim punch and blur. So half the times you end up just getting like a lucky headshot, like a random headshot.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and then sometimes like you end up like killing the guy, but it's just like because of all the aim punch and crap. You maybe were aiming for his chest, but you ended up ultimately hitting a bunch of like limbs and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to like say what to expect on this. Like, I guess in theory, you're like 30% more survivable copium. I don't know. It's kind of tough for me to like really think about how this would change anything meaningful.
Yeah. It's It's kind of hard to know exactly what this is going to do. I think for the most part, it doesn't matter because usually when you're doing leg meta, you're kind of saying, okay, well, look, if the guy's got something high powered and I just try to do a head on fight, like I'm going to lose on time to kill anyway because they're just going to 2-tap my chest with like M61 or 3-tap it with BP or 4-tap it with 5A1 or something, or hit me in the head because I'm forgoing my ability to get that headshot. You know, they have the ability to 2-tap you in the chest and the head is very close, so they can actually just accidentally hit you there. So there's like both advantages for like the usual pen meta, whereas you're kind of forgoing that. So you basically say, look, sometimes I'm just gonna just like lose the fight straight up because the first shot's gonna be a headshot and I die, and I need a bit more time because I need to get 5-6 shots into them depending on the gun, but like 4-5-6 shots to actually get the kill in the first place. So I feel like a lot of the time, I think like meta will still be fine. It's just going to be more. It's going to be even more positiony than it is before. Like usually you catch somebody off guard, or you like outplay them, or they don't see you, and you just into the leg like from around the corner when you surprise them, or you catch them reloading, or whatever. And in those situations, like it's not enough of a nerf so that a targeted spray won't kill them, but it stops you from just getting 3 clipped by a by a RIP 45 vector. It's just I feel or 1-tapped by the KS. I actually think this is fine. I don't think it kills leg meta, and I think it's okay. Just you have to lean more into the strategy of it, even more than before. It doesn't remove it completely. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe the KS has got I don't know how many pellets you need beforehand. I'm guessing maybe like 6 out of 8.
I think it was 5 with Shrap 10.
Oh god.
It was 87 damage, or it is 87 damage. So times 5. Oh, yes, that's 435. So assuming that you have a bleed or something, I guess you wouldn't die from a bleed, I suppose. Actually, no, you would. You would in that case because you'd have no HP. It's not even like, yeah, you just run out of HP. So you're 5 HP off death if you get hit by 5 of them. And then if you have a heavy bleed or anything, and I think Shrap really screws you up anyway. Does it give you extra? I mean, you get hit by like 5 pellets, so you probably do get a bleed of some kind getting hit by that. So 6 is a guarantee, though. Let's put it that way, even at a little distance. And it was 6, and now it's all 8.
Now that I feel like now that it's 8, that gun might be a little not so great. It's definitely a nerf to that, but this is. I kind of am of the opinion that this is more of a nerf to AP ammo than it is leg meta ammo, with the exception of KS, because with AP ammo, it's like specifically the big boy rounds like M61, even BP. It's like they already have like moderate damage to high, and they ignore armor, so it's like you're kind of like double dipping on both leg meta and like armor meta, if you will, to simplify things. Whereas like 45 AP, it's like, yeah, it has high damage, but it has like shit pins, so like their center mass is like effectively infinite durability. You know what I mean? Like it's nice that you got 10% blunt damage, but like I don't know what that looks like on paper. Like I know the armor damage is if they're wearing class 6, the armor damage is going to be like 1. That much I'm pretty positive about. But the blunt damage, I don't know. It's got to be like single digit, and I'm assuming like below 5, but it's hard to say. So
yeah,
I just think it's kind of perhaps more of a nerf to RNG on big boy rounds, because I think it is kind of like silly, dumb that it has, not only does it have high pin and high damage, like it has both those things going for it, so you can hit them anywhere in general and still do good effective damage overall.
Yes, I think that's kind of exactly that's the thing about them. That's why they're so good, right?
Like maybe if the gaps between the M61 and like leg meta, I don't even remember what the round is for that. You'd have to tell me. 308.
Between which one? Between M61 and
what's the leg meta for 308?
Oh god, I don't even know.
Right. But if
that's something horrible,
that's how irrelevant it is. So if the gap between
Ultra
those,
Nozzler.
Okay, what's the damage on it? Like
107.
Yeah, maybe if it was like 160, the gaps are bigger, then it might be more, you know what I mean? Like more of a trade off, or maybe if the damage on M61 was lower to like 50 and you keep Ultra Nozzle the same, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like M61 BP were kind of just a little too good for like general I'm shooting at you stuff. But
Yep, it's a bit tricky. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see how this works. But I mean, I do think one good thing about this is that in the just general spray at each other, those fights will actually get longer in general because
yeah, it should.
people hitting arms and stomach and legs
Right.
and da. Like it's only if you get hit center of mass that's going to really matter because like your effective HP just really ramps up if you're hitting other places, you know, and you don't have this you now don't have this like danger stomach anymore. Actually, you know what? This is a huge buff to Thorax only armor. I only just thought about that now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Armor is kind of back. Like not having armor.
Yeah.
It's
no arm armor, no stomach armor.
Right. It's kind of.
That's actually big. You don't get that 50% increase now.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate, but what do you like? This is the thing. I'd be fine. Like I'm okay with it, but if the aim punch and stuff wasn't so extreme, like it's really extreme comparatively to other games, I'd be fine with it because then like you kind of like you give more player agency, so it doesn't feel like a coin flip, and that way it's like. Because ultimately, like you're gonna hit those things, and it's just kind of random. Like, did I hit him in the stomach more times than he did? Hit me in the stomach, you know? It's just kind of shitty, I think. But is what it is.
Yeah, that's actually kind of like the punchline of my new hardcore video that I released, which is me killing the Chad man in the stomach with PST out of an MP5. That's how he died because he was wearing a hex.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So that might not happen anymore, you know?
Yeah, maybe. But like you got, I don't think he hit you at all. Maybe he hit you once, but you got like
get hit.
Yeah, but you got like the majority of hits on him. Oh yeah, because you were single tap MP5. I was like, what is this guy doing? I thought I was like, okay, that makes all right. I can see the logic there. But yeah. No. Aim punch.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So yeah, I mean, what else? I mean, I was actually just doing some like random calculations there. So I technically, so the 87 times 6, sorry, 87 times, what was it? Oh yeah, so because the new HP threshold, right? If you just hit, I was thinking about the KS again. Sorry, I've gone off on a random tangent in my own head. If you think about the KS 23, I'm surprised that it needs all 8 because the new effective HP of shooting somebody in just one leg, which is actually quite unlikely, is 601, which is like for legs is the worst case scenario because you basically take 440, you remove 65 because you deal 65 normal damage, the leg gets blacked out. That leaves you with 375 PMC HP, and then all the rest of the damage, we're assuming, is all going to be absorbed into that one leg with the 0.75 multiplier. If you divide by that, you tell us what the raw HP is, which is 535.7. And we add the original 65 back on. That gets you to 601. So to deal 601 damage to one leg. Now, I guess that's the thing. It's like it's very, very unlikely because 7 shots at 87 is 609. And so that technically should be over the threshold if you can manage to hit all 7. And if you hit between both legs, the threshold actually should be even less because it'd be, I haven't actually done that calculation, but it'd be like 440 minus 65 minus 65 for 310. Divide that by 0.7, which is 442, and then add 65 back on twice. That's like 573. So 601 for one leg, 573 if you black out both legs. I guess there's a lot of damage drop off on the KS though. So probably by the time it gets there, they're probably less than 87 per shot, aren't they? And because it's 8 on each one, yeah, you only need to lose 1 damage actually. That's probably the reason why. It's probably just like extreme damage drop off and the inability to separate like 8 versus 7. Like it's very hard to do that at close range, so you do kind of need to hit with all of them. I don't know. I was just musing about that. Just like, does that actually check out? It's like, huh. But yeah, if you're shooting somebody just in one arm now, it's actually really insane. What's the arm HP? Is it 60?
60, yeah. A 0.49 multiplier.
Yeah, so so now it's 440 minus 60. So they have 380 health left. They've been divided by 0.49. That gets us 775.5 health. And we add 60 back on. So you now need to deal. If somebody appears around the corner and you just shoot them in the left arm, you now need to deal 836 damage
Wow.
to that one arm. So it's very, very
Yeah.
difficult. Like, I've been killed before like that, early wipe, with the UMP. And I couldn't see the guy because he'd like just let me around the corner and just went. And by the time the desync had kicked in, and then my reaction time had kicked in, I couldn't move and I died, right? And I got shot, I don't know, 5 or 6 times or something. But now you have to be shot so many times to die to an arm shot specifically, like one arm shot. Kind of interesting.
Well, here's the other interesting part of this, because we've previously talked about how now there's like, what do we call this, throughput damage, where like you penetrate the arm and then it goes through and hits the chest, right? So let's say, like, how are we calculating that into the equation? You know, if I dump like a single shot of strap 10 into his arm, do I get extra blunt damage because the 10% buff from like pinning the arm and hitting the chest armor?
I guess for the case blunt damage, I guess the pen is too low. It probably won't even go through at all, I don't think.
No.
But for other things, that might be the case.
Well, wait, what is there like a minimum threshold for blunt damage to kick in?
Well, not even blunt damage, but just to like pen through the arm.
Right.
I don't even know if certain
pen through the
shells
arm.
do. Is that what you're doing? That's what you're talking about, then, no? Right?
Yeah, I didn't realize there was. You might have talked about this. I don't remember, but there was like a minimum arm.
I think so.
Armor.
Well, the time when we looked at this last time, it was when Airwing and Velium were doing some testing on the double hit arm bug thing, and it seemed like there was a threshold, probably 20, where low pen bullets don't go through.
The mystical 20.
Mystical 20. Nobody knows why it is, but yeah, exactly. So I mean, the Shrap 10 has got 11 pen, and the 25's got 10 pen. So
okay, we'll scratch that then.
I don't think that will do anything, but there might be some situations where you get some bit of extra damage. I guess anything with high flesh could have low pen on it, so I'm not really sure.
So you're telling
like the Ash 12 doesn't makes sense.
To kill the guy in the arm, I have to hit all 8 pellets to his arm. Is that correct, or is that not even enough?
I'm not even sure if that'll do it. So it's 836 that you have to deal. So 87 times 8. Yeah, it's only 696. So you can't one-tap somebody in the arm with Chaos 23. It's too much. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like very roughly, it's about doubling your PMC HP because it's a 49%, right?
Yeah.
Like some of it's a damage of 1, but then it's 49%, so it's pretty much double.
I don't know. I think for the KS23, you might need to give it a little bit. My issue with the KS23 is just that, like, sometimes you could get lucky and, like, one-time people from, like, 25 meters away, which was just like, dude, that's really annoying. But, like, I'm pretty sure in those situations, you would have to not have stomach armor. Like, I think Tiggs did a video some time ago. I can't remember if it was a strap 25 or strap 10. But it was like, it was ridiculous. Like, you could roll lucky, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like properly balanced, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being, gamery. But now I kind of feel like, dude, I don't know. Shooting the KS twice is gonna feel real bad. I feel like.
Yeah, but I feel like that's kind of. Well, is that kind of okay or not? I don't know. I'm not sure what happens with the other shotguns. So say you're shooting. I mean, Magnum is kind of its own thing. You'll still kill somebody with Magnum, I guess.
2 hits.
8 times 50 is like 400. It's 2. I think you'll still get 2 hits because 2 shots of Magnum is like 800.
Yeah.
Total, and 1 shot KS is 6. Whatever we said it was, 600 and something, under 700. So it's like it's still possible to just like 2-shot people with Magnum, which is more realistic than the KS.
Realistic as in
pump, right? Because you could put it in a 153 or whatever. Like you don't have to go bang, click, click, bang. You could just go and just pump the shots. So
I had to define what kind of realism we're talking about, but now I understand.
Yeah, realistic. Well, practical. Maybe I should say instead. Realistic. It's practical. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I feel like it's okay. I feel like it hits on a few pain points and reduces them so they're not so annoying. It changes normal fights so you don't just like randomly die to shots to the arm like we've seen people do before. It helps a little bit with the stomach thing. like lower tier stuff is not as good, but the meta stuff doesn't matter that much. I feel like it's all right on balance.
Yeah,
I feel like it's all right. We will see. Was there anything else in there? There was just a little bit about bot spawn stuff in the practice mode, and then a load of fixes. So thermal sights showing through the weapon, bots not spawning in practice mode, fixing practice setting stuff, incorrect function of culling on streets, optimization of rendering and glass on the streets as well, like some audio stuff, stutters on locations. I don't know whether the stutters interchange is specifically what they're talking about there, but presumably. If you're over 6 rep, you no longer lose rep if you kill the rogue bosses. That's a very annoying one for some people. That's better now. A red bug with bosses or guards with freeze after throwing a grenade. And then this last one, road decals are no longer superimposed on dropped items, equipment, and weapons. I think this means like items getting hidden under the floor.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
Which is very annoying.
I can't think of how many times I've just like dropped my teammate something, ammo, dog tag, whatever, and it's just like you just have to play the game of proning and moving your mouse. It's get the dot. Ugh. Hopefully that's what that is. I mean, I'm assuming. So that's
exactly.
That's
I think so, which is good. I did see there was some posts, some people saying like, "Oh, it's still here in some locations," but they're just trying to fix it. I think.
Right.
And then they did actually acknowledge. It says this update does not include the Unity update. In the near future, we plan to publish an updated release roadmap for this year, which will include a game engine update, content patches, and more.
Okay.
So
I'm
there
cool
we
with
have
that.
it.
I'm
Yes.
a little disappointed. I saw the notifications on my phone and my heart fluttered a little bit, like, oh my god, it's wipe. It's happening. But it's not wipe, but it's I would much rather, as I said last week, the patch be as good as it can be for a wipe experience. But it's just that conditioning I get whenever I see a notification from Battle State Case with an update, like, oh, wipe. It's happening.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I'm just having a quick check over this thing here. So today is day 191 since previous wipe. So we're now at the 6.5 month, or nearly 6.5 month mark. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the last time that we had a longer wipe than this was December, and that was 210 days. The longest wipe that we've ever had was 214 days, and that was where's that one? That one was, again, it was the patch before that. I think that was October, the 27th of October 2019. We didn't get a wipe until the 20th of May. That was patch 12 to 12.6 was 214. So we are quite close to, if it lasts sort of 3 and a bit more weeks. Actually, it would need to be a whole another month. I doubt that that's going to be the case. I doubt that it's going to be a whole month before we get anything else. But you never know. And as you say, I'd rather it all be fixed and better for the next wipe. You'd rather all the technicals be smoothed out. We need to fix all this stuff first that's come with the changes in 30.1. I mean, the fact that like it doesn't seem to be an absolute catastrophe so far is like pretty good. Fingers crossed. Like, it seems okay. There's some things they need to change maybe and tweak and parameterize or whatever. But like, yeah, it's not a disaster. I was expecting this patch to be an absolute cluster.
Yeah, I mean, there's still time, Giga.
We haven't uncovered everything yet. It's been 24 hours. Let it cook. But I don't know. We'll see. We will see. So, okay. So what else has been going on then? So we have had the ongoing events. We had the bosses event was the one that has been running for the last sort of couple of days. I think it was most of the week. Weekend players hated by BSG, apparently. I think this one started on Monday or Tuesday, something like that. And
something
it was
like that.
Originally it was bosses on every map.
Right.
I think that was accidental.
Yeah, I was really confused from an outsider perspective.
It was very, very confusing. So I think originally, they posted a thing being like, here's this, newspaper cutting or whatever. And the bosses were supposed to be on certain maps at certain times. No one really knew whether it was real life time, whether it was Tarkov time. And then bosses were just spawning all the time, no matter what. So everyone was like, okay, there's just like bosses all over the place. And they did end up sort of streamlining it. And I think it ended up being Moscow time. So between certain, in certain time periods, in real time, you had the bosses all on customs or all on streets or all on shoreline or wherever. And there was a quest that came with it, which was to kill all the bosses in one raid, which is kind of extreme. And then another quest, which was to kill all of the goons in one raid. So in tandem with this boss event or the main event, the goons were spawning on factory with 100% spawn rate as well. So it was kind of nutty in general. As I said, like I just didn't really feel like participating this time because I've been enjoying doing my hardcore stuff. So I'd like, been watching other people doing their things. If you killed all the bosses, if you managed to do that, you got a pair of T7 thermal goggles, the ones that are renowned because they cost 17 million rubles on Jaeger or something, the most expensive cash item in the entire game. And then for the bosses one, you got 90 rounds of 7N40 and a bunch of other stuff like BT for the shrimp and things, but no special unlocks this time. See, I would have expected 7N40 to be, an unlock. You can buy it from Skier for 3,000 rubles or something like they did in the past, but they didn't do that this time, which is, I don't know. Is it interesting? I'm not sure if interesting is the word for it, but it's a thing.
Well, I'm definitely seeing a trend here. It's like events, and then there's like a permanent unlock of some previously item that you used to be able to get, but now you can't in this new Tarkov world, but now you can in this late wipe world, which is kind of interesting. It's like a way to really extend the wipe in a sense.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's interesting.
It certainly is. I quite like the approach though. I think it's good.
Yeah. So they got lots of content to keep slowly releasing.
Yes. And so that event did actually end up ending yesterday, I believe, the boss's event. And so people are like, okay, what's kind of next? What's kind of next? And we may as well talk about it right now because just as we were going live for the cast, there was another BSG post that came out. And there's a little video that they posted out. And I think it's actually called Hardcore Mode, which is quite funny, the video, because they posted on YouTube as well. But I saw the one on Twitter. And it's basically just like, looks like some kind of pre-rendered video of PMCs just all dead. And there's a guy clutching like the Abdolboss stem in his hand. And now there's a new quest. So let me bring it up. I actually have the game up here. There's a new quest that's appeared. Who was it from? Do you remember? Oh, it was Skier, wasn't it? Yes, because the reward was from Skier. And it is called Cocktail Tasting, which is pretty funny. And it says, listen up, there's the big chemist guy in the city makes all kind of effed up drugs. There's rumor going around he's created some kind of new stimulant. The bums say they saw a jacked up PMC merc running around the block like a lunatic, dodging bullets Neo style, but then he tripped over a rock and has gone to forever sleep. Can you believe it? Looks like that chemo took a toll on his health. There's a price to pay for everything in life. Find out what kind of drugs he was stoned on if there's any reason to peddle it. So the idea is to eliminate PMC operatives whilst under the influence of the Abdolboss cocktail, and you have to kill 20 players. And for that, you get some Skier rep, you get a Mark 18 gun, just one of them. But you also unlock the Boris Fulfield TAC 30, the Vortex Razor, and the Voodoo from Skier 1 as a reward. So this is going back to the permanent unlock kind of thing of high tier stuff, which is kind of cool. Now, the plot has kind of thickened, and I've been seeing the posts coming in as this event has been active. Mm-hmm. Abdolboss 1 has had its stats changed slightly.
Oh.
Rather than doing what it was doing before, all the usual things, Abdolboss 1 now only adds, well, I say only, it adds 50 strength and 50 endurance. So it basically takes you to elite on both of those, and it increases damage taken except the head by 1,000%. So that's what the Skier thing means. Like the PMC is like running round and round and round in a circle, trips over a rock, and then dies.
Yeah, so if you hit barbed wire, I guess you're insta dead.
1,000%.
It's a lot of damage.
1,000% is 10x. So if you take 2 damage, you'll now take 200 damage. So you might survive if you hit barbed wire, as long as you don't hit it too hard. But you're gonna have to repair everything.
Yeah.
You've got probably have black legs. Like maybe you know what, the black leg change probably saves you. 70% propagation after the if your arm brushes it, it's like it's only 50%. It's fine.
It depends how many ticks you get, but yeah. Wait, we'll see.
Oh, and apparently, if you die, the quest resets.
Ooh.
Wait, but you have to kill 20 PMCs.
That's a challenge.
Whilst on Abdolboss,
like
with 1,000%, like with 10x damage. That's hard.
Think about the permanent scope unlocks, though. It's worth.
Yeah, but how are you even going to do that? Like, you're going to have to actually just like camp extracts or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how you can do that. You just can't take fire. You have to snipe it. You cannot be shot.
Yeah, sniping's probably the way to do it. Honestly. just get a HK, 100 round mag, thermal scope, prone in a bush.
Yeah.
Just hit them once.
You have to just sit next to past the shoreline just 2 days.
Now this is interesting because I guess I've just been really out of the loop for a while now. There's Obelisk 1 and 2.
Yeah,
that's news to me.
Really? Oh, you didn't know there was an Obelisk 2?
No, I mean I didn't realize there's a distinction. Like I remember at one point there was like 2 Obelisk, but they didn't have like a different number and like a different color scheme to it.
Yeah, you're right, because one of them was like the event of Obelisk, which was the one that killed you, like with a 5% or 10% chance or something. That was like the event version of Obelisk, where you just died. It was like the end of White One.
Yeah, I remember that, but not this new Obelisk too.
Yeah.
Which is this one the same as it used to be, or is this a new thing, or did they change the stats?
Well, Obelisk 2 has been around for a bit. It's been around for this wipe at least, and maybe the wipe before. It's been around for a long time, relatively speaking. I don't know if the stats look the same to me. Okay, so the plot thickens here slightly, right? And I'm actually going to talk about something because it was on our list to talk about anyway, but now it seems a very relevant time to talk about it, which is the stim bug, which I mentioned last time, but I didn't want to reveal too early because it was just too funny.
Yeah.
So probably most people watched the video, but for those of you who didn't watch it in the end, there was a bug with the way that damage taken except the head worked, which meant that only one damage taken but the head effect could be active at any one time. And what that meant was that you could take Meldonin with 10% damage reduction. And then I was actually taking Obelisk 2 in that video, because Obelisk 2 is actually even better than Obelisk 1. And so you could take Obelisk 2, which normally it has an 80% damage increase. And you could take Meldonin first and Obelisk 2 afterwards, and the damage increase just wouldn't apply. So you could run around with Obelisk 2 with all of the positives, because that's really the only downside to Obelisk 2.
Right.
You could run around with all the positives and 10% reduced damage, actually, because you've got Meldonin on. And then you get, 20 endurance, 20 strength, 20 attention, 20 perception, 20 max stamina recovery of 2, which is it's like having SJ6 on all the time. 2 health regens, like having 2 propertiles active at the same time. And a weight limit of 45%, which is like having a mule on the whole time, right? So it's actually nuts. But in the process of investigating, that's crazy on its own, right?
Right.
In the process of investigating this, I discovered something completely wild, which was that if you took any of those like damage reduction stims and then Obelisk afterwards, because the 80% damage wasn't applying, when the original stim, like the first one that had the reduction on it, when that one went away, for some reason, it was trying to put the damage reduction back to normal,
right?
But instead was somehow applying the 80% like back the wrong way. So with Meldonin, it wasn't useful because Meldonin's on for like 15 minutes. But if you chose one of the short stims, which is PNB and P22, PNB was better because PNB was 40 seconds and P22 is 60. If you did PNB first, you did 40 seconds. You had 10% damage reduction. You then popped the Obelisk 2. The 80% wouldn't apply, so you just have this 10%. And then PNB would disappear. The Obelisk 2 would reset and try to reduce it by 80%, and you basically had like 50% damage reduction for all eternity from there onwards, which is like really bizarre. And absolutely 50%? Broken. It was 50% because it rather than doubling, it was 10% and then reduced by another 80%. So it was like halved nearly. Do you know what I mean? So it's like It went to 90. So an 80% increase is times 1.8.
Right.
So what was happening is it was basically taking your normal damage is 1. Let's say you take one damage is 1 multiplier. You're now at your 0.9 from the PNB. And then what's happening is rather than multiplying by 1.8, you're actually then dividing by 1.8 again on the 0.9. So it's like 0.9 nearly halved. So I think like technically speaking, so it's like 0.9 divided by 1.8. It took you, it actually is exactly 0.5 actually, just by coincidence.
Okay.
So it was precisely 50% damage reduction, which was outrageous. And like, yeah, I posted because I was like, look, it's a late wipe, but no one cares anyway, right? It's like the balance is screwed. We've had airdrops and stuff, like who cares? And like some of the guys in the Discord were just like, we're trying to do leg meta and people are eating 800 damage. I hate you. Why did you release this video? Which was pretty funny. So the long and the short of all of that is BSG actually ended up removing the damage reduction from PNB, which is the one that I'd spoken about in the video, so that you couldn't do it anymore. but they left it on P22. I did actually mention P22. I said, look, you could do it P22 as well.
Right.
But they left P22. Now, what's really interesting is that because this event is the Stim event about Obdolboss,
right.
What they seem to have done is they seem to have removed all of the damage reductions from all of the stims. Now, like this, I don't think this was the case the other day because we looked the other day and they just removed it from PNB. But I think maybe they had this event planned or something. I'm kind of glad actually that I ended up making the video because if they had this event planned and then people were doing like the stim bug thing and they were supposed to be 1,000% increase, but then you just pop Meldon in first and it didn't do anything, that would have been really crappy actually. Like that would have meant the event didn't work the way that it was supposed to. So the PNB doesn't have the thing on anymore. Meldonin has had the 10% damage reduction removed.
Yep.
I don't have a P22 to hand, I don't think, but I imagine that's gone.
No longer.
Obdolboss itself has got the 1,000% plus, but Obdolboss 2 has also had its thingy removed. So
yeah,
you want to use Obdolboss 2 now for free, you can, because basically I think it's quite expensive, but Obdolboss 2 now currently has no downsides whatsoever. It's only 400k and it has no downsides at all. Like it's actually like Obdolboss 2 is like actually really broken as of this moment because you get all those positives and there's literally no downside to the stim. Not one. No energy thing, no tunnel vision, no hydration stuff, no damage increase, nothing. So Obdolboss 2 is like absolutely cracked right now. So it looks like maybe they're using the event as an opportunity to kind of reset these things. I don't know what they're going to do afterwards, but anyway, we revealed something and it's fed into this event in a kind of like weird and interesting way. It also makes me wonder, like, I wonder if they were doing this event before. Probably, yeah. I guess it was planned previously, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what happens after this event, and are they gonna, like, I don't know. So when they initially did the P&B change, I saw that and I looked at the comments. People are like, at GigaBeef, thanks GigaBeef.
I was just kind of like,
ruined the game.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to reply.
But I mean, it looks like their solution was just to remove the damage reduction, which, not surprising given their history on these things. But now I'm curious what they're going to do afterwards. I mean, I don't even know if PNB is worth using without the damage reduction. Some people were saying in the thread that it's useless now, but I that stim looks foreign to me. I'm not even sure if it's. I have to sit there and study it for a few seconds. But anyways, I'm interested to see. I mean, I'm hoping that what they ultimately do is fix the bug, the root cause of the issue. But we'll see.
Yeah. Do you know what actually is probably the funniest thing that people can do right now? Is like go to factory or labs or underground and reserve or whatever and just take like a Makarov and don't take the stim.
Yeah, don't take the stim.
I just wander around just like man with the golden gun, just boom, boom, just one-shotting everybody. That'd be super funny.
PPSH or like the Vector. Oh man.
Yeah, anything really. Glock 18C with a drum, baby.
Oh, that's it.
That's the one. That's the one.
Can you put a laser on
it? Cracked it. Yeah, I think so.
I
think so. We'll try. I'm going to try right now. To put the laser on there.
I'm
sure you can.
Yeah,
you're able to. But yeah, that'd be pretty funny. So let's see. The problem with this is that I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody to actually complete.
I'm sure someone will do it.
Thing. Somebody will do it, but you have to be. Yeah, you can. You can put lasers. You can put all the normal stuff on. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that actually sounds like fun. Nothing says fun in Tarkov than just ruining someone's day. What more fun could you have?
Exactly. Just go around. Yeah, you pop on. So you've got Obdolboss 1 on for the event. I've got Obdolboss 2 on to ruin your fun. We're built. We're not the same. G18 with a freaking X400 and a drum, dude. Disgusting. Yeah. This is cool. I think this is the way. Nice little sight on it and stuff. Not that you need a sight for the G18C. You barely need a laser. The laser is already kind of too much of a precision instrument for the 18C.
Nonsense. Got to get that secret hidden hipfire bonus.
Yeah, just put the stock. You got to put the stock on. Even then, it's bad. But you actually shoot
Yeah.
the roof in the hideout if you don't have the stock on.
You just got to get past that first kick, and then you're smooth sailing. You need to like start shooting behind cover and then move out to cover.
You should probably start looking towards the floor. Really, you kind of want to be like
just aim
more
at
like
the
this.
floor.
Just aim at the floor. Use the regular one without the stock. Just aim at the floor, and then just adjust as you come up.
You're going for leg meta. You just aim at your own legs.
Yeah, point at my own feet. Shoot yourself in the foot.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the event and
that's pretty fun.
Giga's Joker storyline. We live in society.
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty good so far. What else? What other things? Oh yeah. So apparently, this is just like other random things. Apparently, they changed the thing on streets. On streets, it now says like 10 to 20 players.
Right.
Rather than I think before it said, I don't know, 10 to 14 or 12 to 14 or something. So like, they are incrementally increasing the number of people, which like we kind of know anyway. And then yeah, I did see Nice Guy posting about how like he was like, oh, I think he said at one point like, oh, patch 14 is like certainly our next like content wipe or something like that, or maybe not our next wipe or whatever. And I was because he laid out like two possibilities where we just wait a bit, then patch 14 comes earlier than expected, copium, or the alternative where they're just trying to balance everything out and fix all the technicalities and then just drop a wipe like when it's all ready, kind of thing. I mean, I think that's like dramatically more likely. They don't want it all to be screwed and the netcode to be messed up when they do a random wipe here. But I just can't see patch 14 being ready soon. I just really can't. I mean, I would be ecstatic to be wrong about it, and for it to appear and have all this lovely content and us have all the things they've said. But there's so much on there. Like I'm incredulous that that's even a possibility. Like just knowing the Tarkov like landscape and all the history. To be like the biggest content patch of all time might be early. I just feel that that's like there's copium, and then there's like this is a whole nother level
beyond copium. Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that we're getting, I would say, more communication from like. I feel like we went from no communication to some form of communication. So I don't know if I could put the adjective more there, but yeah, the fact that we're going to get an update to the roadmap, I enjoy that a lot. And hopefully we'll have a better idea of what to expect. I mean, the fact that we didn't really get, like, they didn't deliver on the, I mean, the roadmap didn't have a date, but things change. Like, it's totally fine. I'm not really upset or anything. So we'll see. I'm fine if wipes, I would say like past November, like I'm gonna start getting a little Tarkov anxious. But if it needs to be that, then so be it.
Yeah, I think that's the way that most sensible people are about it. It's like would rather them take their time and make sure everything's good and do it the way they want to do it rather than just suddenly rush for it. It's not like we're really looking, or as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we're really looking forward to any particular content. We're just looking forward to a wipe that's not absolutely scuffed with the Streets of Tarkov patch included. That's sort of what I'm looking forward to, really. Like I'm under no impressions that we're getting like tons of content in the next one anyway. So we just kind of want it to be, workable and good.
The main things I'm coping for is recoil rework and armor hit zone rework, and I mean, I feel like I'm really pushing the envelope here, but some type of like in-raid trader stuff, like Lightkeeper's pretty disappointing IMO, but I mean, the first two would be pretty massive for me, for my enjoyment.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even things like the UI rework is just gonna change the way that we like interact with the game and make it feel better to play and stuff. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. I've not even really thought about patch 14 that much. Like I think I'm in that sort of state of don't think too much about Christmas because you might get disappointed. I'm in that level. I'm just like, yeah, when it comes, it comes. I'll be happy about it. But for now, I'm just kind of. It feels like a far off project that's not going to be completed for a long time. That's how it feels in my head. It's like, oh, these
Yeah.
things are just words written down. Like, it sounds cool, but let's just we'll see when it actually ends up arriving as to how it works out. So yeah, I don't know. I think overall, I think it's promising, right? It's like we haven't taken too many steps backwards. There's going to obviously be some new bugs for stuff. But outside of that, like, yeah, it seems okay. Like, it's not gone dramatically wrong so far. So I'm just, yeah, there's still time, but it's a bit better than expected, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, the final thing on this topic, more theory crafting, hitting the crack pipe is there is a possibility that they want to stack Arena with the updates all together on the same time frame ish. So we have like this big push in the winter season for the company or business, which makes, I mean, if you're gonna rework recoil, I don't even know if the recoil rework's like, I know he mentioned it, but I don't think it was like, this is coming next update type of thing. But anywho,
I think it's on the roadmap.
is it? I can't even remember.
I think it actually is. If I just pull it up quickly, I don't have it open, but I think it's on one of the line items that we find it here. I think it's rework of recoil mechanics of all weapon types. It's like right in the middle, so it is actually on there.
Yeah, I mean that UI rework. I mean, it just loadout presets, like it all kind of like just screams crossover with Arena. So I just and the fact that the wipes, I think we're like a little bit over 6 months, like 6 months in a day or something. I can't remember the stats, but I could see a November wipe / update. December. It's gonna be a really long wipe, but like I said, I'm happy to wait. Copium.
Yeah, even if it's like August or something, even if it is in a month and it's August, they do the wipe and there's not that much content, but then October they release Arena and then December they do patch 14 or whatever. It's like that like builds quite a lot of momentum, and like
but I don't know. I guess you could do that. You could do a wipe, like a 3/4 of the year wipe, and then have Arena in the winter as well as drops. Maybe do drops for both.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really sure what like the companies are limited drops every X months via Twitch. Like if they have some policy, I have no idea. But
I have no idea. I don't know.
I wonder if they're gonna do like exclusive. How like in Valorant they did it like private release like to some content creators to like drive hype, and they would do like keys drops for it. I wonder if they're gonna do that for Arena.
I don't know. Can you imagine?
Like, I can.
that would. I can imagine how people would take that.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be very salty.
Who cares?
Gatekeeper.
Gonna make them so much money, dude.
Yeah, true.
If it's if it's successful, if the strategy works, but anywho, all right, bud. So tell me about hardcore.
Oh,
this is your second time doing it, right? You did it last wipe a little bit.
I didn't. I did
you did zero to hero. That's right.
I did 0 to hero because I didn't think we had enough time to really put enough legs on it, and I didn't. I don't know. I think I was still working on stuff. I can't remember. I think I was I don't know. I ended up getting like a bit delayed last wipe. I think I was still working towards Kappa, and it was like quite late when I realized I just wasn't going to make it. I think I left some of the annoying tasks till like too late, and there's like capturing outposts and stuff still to do and shooterborn and things, and I was like, I've left it too late. Whereas this time, like knowing that I didn't want to do it was great because I got to level 50. I did like Keeper, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get to him. I didn't care about his quests because they didn't do anything, so I'm not that bothered. I wanted to get to him, see him, meet him, do that one thing. And then I was kind of like, well, now I'm just kind of playing, like using different guns, and we did a bit on check 15. I went to go and check that place out and learn it a bit better. But otherwise, I was like, you know what? We should try this because I've been talking about it for so long, and I've never actually, done the thing, and it's difficult to talk about something that you think should be a good game mode without actually having played it, really. And as you said last time, I dipped into doing 0 to hero because it's kind of like mini hardcore. It gives you sort of the experience of that, or at least the experience of the beginning of hardcore. Which is like the bit that most people are most interested in, I think.
It's like a very low commitment to the hardcore idea, but you still kind of get that
exactly.
similar experience.
Yeah. And there's ways of doing it where you don't have to fully commit if you want to. You could just have like a hardcore part of your stash. With EOD, that's actually much easier. You could just have like a little bit segregated for hardcore if you want to do it like a proper hard. But anyway, I did it the other way. I do actually have a second account that I just don't really use very often. And I used that for this. I just like loaded it up and we went in from 0. And then just started going. And it's honestly amazing how like trained you are to do certain things when you played the main branch of the game. Just like things you see that you know you need later, and it's so hard to not take them. Things like you see fuel conditioners early wipe, and you're like, well, I said like early in the character, and you're like, oh man, I know I need these at some point. Like I don't want to get gate kept. Like how far along is it the quest progression? I can't tell because sometimes you just forget. I mean, most of the time I forget where the quests come. I just know I need it.
Yeah.
And so I'll just keep all these things. But it's like even stuff like sugar. Like I know it's valuable, but like not really that valuable. And it's just the food.
It is for a
hardcore character. Like that's it. That's all that it is. And so the rule set I've been playing, I was playing on Pestely's rule set, which I just swiped it straight from his YouTube video, like his latest set of YouTube videos. It's just that little text file. But I know him and Deadly Slob have been doing this for many wipes, right? So they've gone through lots of different iterations of the challenge. And so I was like, well, if they've run into all the the bugs and the glitches of like, if I just say, oh, no traders know this, no that, no the other, I might run into some stupid problems. So I'll use his rule set because it's already been like tested, I suppose. So his was you delete everything out of your stash, and if you're using EOD, you can only use 2x2 secure container, which is fine. So I just put 1 ruble in each one. You can't purchase equipment from the dealers or the flea market with money, but you are allowed to barter with the traders. There's no flea market. Secure container is only for keys. The secure container rule seems to have got more complicated. Like me and chat actually had a long discussion about it. So it says secure container for keys only. You can only put items in the secure container once successfully extracted with the item, which I think is still referring to keys. And a new addition to the rules: unexamined keys are allowed to go directly into the secure container, but can't be examined until after the raid. Docs case, key tool, stick case, and the keycard holder are allowed in the container to hold keys, and only keys, basically, is what it says. So the idea seems to be, if you get a key and you take it out of the raid, you can then have that key in your secure container. That's fine. If you're in the raid and you find a key that's unidentified, you could put that unidentified in your secure container, but you can't identify it until you leave the raid. If you identify a key, you have to hold it on you if you want to see what it is. So I guess if you've got like 6 keys or something, you have to start identifying them and choosing which ones you want to. Which ones you want to keep in the container and which ones you want to hold on your body. That seems to be the way that I've interpreted it anyway.
So you have to identify it outside a raid?
Yeah.
And then
but
you don't
have to. You don't have to, but like if you identify it, you're not allowed to put it in secure.
Okay, so you can like gamba, basically.
Yeah, so you can gamba and take 4 keys with you out of raid.
That's interesting.
But it has to be unidentified.
That's kind of interesting.
Which is kind of cool. So I didn't mind that. I've not done much key stuff yet, but that's kind of interesting. Mission special items like the M2000 markers can be bought for tasks. Now it says can be bought for tasks, which is markers, Wi-Fi, cameras, jammers, multi-tool. There is an upgrade. So the very first upgrade for the workbench requires the multi-tool. It's not a task, but I was informed by chat that all of the serious hardcore people, or I guess the routine hardcore people, buy the multi-tool from Mechanic, because it is possible to find it in raid. But it's extremely low spawn chance, and you have to go to very specific places onwards. So it just ends up being like, and this is the thing, and this is the point that I try to get across whenever people, because people will always come in and be like, oh, you're playing hardcore, oh, but you're not doing this, like, oh, why aren't you doing that? And it's like, the rule set is to make the game more fun. It's not to make the game like borderline unplayable by being so hard. That isn't really the point. The game is to put extra restrictions on to give experienced players a new challenge. Like it's not to just punish yourself as much as possible, which is what some people,
That's what you're into.
Exactly. So you can do what you like, but if you don't want to just like spam raids into woods to specific locations to try to get a very specific item, which I didn't want to do, it's like fine. just buy that item. Like it's fine. You know, you're not just detracting from the experience. You're actually probably detracting from the experience by doing those raids, right? So then, yeah, no scav raids. Only play with other people who are playing under the hardcore rule set. No assistance from friends or community handouts, obviously. One thing that's interesting, you can use therapists to heal post raid. So it actually gives you something to use money for, because you can sell to the traders. You just can't buy from them. You can craft in the hideout. You can exchange money between the different, money, ruble to rubles, euros, dollars, whatever, via the traders. No insurance, and you are allowed to buy containers for cash. So you can buy a scav junk box, for example. I can't remember all the containers you can buy for cash, but scav junk box is probably the most important one. So you can sell stuff to the traders and then buy the scav junk box with that money. Factory map can be bought for the intel center upgrade. So that's like one specific carve out, because like factory map, I just don't think you can find it anywhere else. It's like maybe you get it in the scav case or something, but it's just like 0.00001. You're just never going to find it. And flares can be bought for a task that requires them, because again, they're just like annoying to do. So it's like, it's quite a cool rule set. The only thing, like the multi-tool thing was the only one that's very slightly deviates from the rule set specifically. But as everyone said, like all the other people went and bought it, like Pestley bought it for his run and blah, 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 because it's just it's more interesting not to have to do that. And to be able to use the workbench before finding this like stupid item. So it's interesting, and you have to play in a very different way, right? And like money is not useless, but like you pay for repairs, because it doesn't say anything about repairs in here. So I'm pretty sure you can like repair armor and repair guns. The scav guns are still useful without just jamming all the time. Like it didn't say anything in the rules about it, so I just assumed that you were able to. And I also wanted to do that. Yeah, to repair guns and armor, because like armor's like it's just one and done otherwise, which is just like it's just too silly. And then so you can use money for that, money for containers, and money for paying for the therapist healing service. You don't just like burn through all your meds every time you die. It's interesting. So anyway, I'm doing this for the first time. I wanted to use a rule set that's tried and tested before I've attempted it myself and wanted to change anything. The beginning of hardcore is obviously one of the hardest things that you could do at the start, because you have nothing, right? So you have to go. It's like doing the 0 to hero, which is why I wanted to start on reserve. Like I've gotten lucky a few times, didn't find a gun for ages, and I got Tarkov'd a bunch by scavs and whatever. But once we started getting a few things, you start to get the snowball rolling, and it actually ended up being kind of cool. But yeah, like trying to change your mindset to, what do I need? Like, do I need to bring this like AK magazine? Do I need that? Do I need that more than, the whatever it might be for some like late game task? It's like, actually, I'm probably never going to get to that task. Like, maybe I do need just a 30-round basic AK mag. Like, I'm not allowed to buy anything.
Right.
So maybe I do need it. And it was really crazy. Like the final raid ended up just like killing that guy, and it was like while all the bosses were on reserve as well, and like killed that guy in the extract of D2. I became the camper by accident, because the guy like clomped all the way down the stairs and we killed him. And he had like 4 high tier helmets on him, like an SR25 and a mutant, which was kind of the thing that we always talked about of like, if you're playing hardcore on regular servers, like there is no other option right now.
Right.
You end up getting people's trader loot if you kill them.
Sure.
Eventually you end up getting decked out in like wherever the wipe is up to, rather than playing like hardcore per se. But I mean, it's still, you still get one of them, and
you still get a pretty good high off of that. You know what I mean?
Like, and then taking it out later is just like, I used the mutant for a bunch of raids,
right?
And then eventually lost it, and it's like, okay, that's gone, but I have an SR. I killed another guy on woods. I actually killed him with the mutant, so I got his RSAS. So I have like a couple of like high tier guns. But like I did something stupid, right? So it had one of them, I think it was the SR, there was the RSAS, so it had this like weird stock on it. Oh no, sorry, it was the SR. It had this like really weird stock on it. It was like some off meta stock that you'd never use. And I took it off and sold it to the traders so I could pay for like an armor thing. And then I used the SR, and then I died with the SR. And then I was like, okay, like maybe we should just keep using the good stuff. Let's use the RSAS. And I was like, oh wait, damn, I sold the stock. Hold on. And I was like, I'm actually shafted. I can't get another stock. I don't have another one. Like the RSAS is now just a buffer tube. I was like, okay, well that was stupid. I didn't think about that. It's like, things like that like you just you make assumptions about the way that you normally play the game, and then they come back to bite you because, oh god, I did it with the hideout as well. Oh man, I had a daily, right? I had a daily to hand in a syringe. And I was like, oh man, that's going to give me the last bandage for the med station level 1. And I did it, went to the med station, and it was just like, oh, you have the bandages, but you need the syringe. And I was like, no, the syringe was for the med station. No, like, what are the chances? Like, oh my God, the daily quest was such a troll. because it took one of my items, which is more rare, to give me the more common item, and I just didn't think and just handed it in. Oh man, so it's just like all of those kind of things just changed the way you play, but it's been good. It's been really, really good. I'd like the first 2 sessions were amazing, and we did really well. The last session, maybe I got a bit more cavalier. I'm not really sure. Now I have some things, and I died a lot more on the last one. I think also like when you're going after specific stuff, like particular med spawns or whatever, which I was going to woods to try to get to USEC camp and things like that, you start going into sort of hotter areas and you just run into people more. And those encounters are quite a lot more intense. We also probably got quite lucky in the first couple of days and a bit unlucky on the last one. So yeah, but we did a lot of dying in the last one. But it's like it's great. It's really good.
I was gonna say my biggest like gripe or like fear of doing hardcore, which it sounds like they've definitely tweaked a lot of the stuff. Like the key thing is very interesting, and like the therapist healing. I don't think that was a thing back when they were doing it, but was just doing the hatchet runs. I was just like fearful that my first like 2 to like however many hours is going to be me constantly hatchet running.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, do I really want to do that? So, but no, that's cool, man. That's cool. I'm glad you finally got to experience, that it is really fun because it does change your perception of value in items. I think I was watching and you were like, someone was like, why are you carrying the Saiga shotgun 5-round mags? I was like, well, because I need it. It's actually a really good gun. It's like definitely, whereas normally you just like always forgo that, like, because you could get on your scav, I think you can get it on Jaeger 1. So there's a little bit of like a gap where you can't really get them in like the very, very early game. But it's like they're a very abundant item, you know what I mean? And whereas it's like just changes value so much, which I really like that aspect. That's why I like this idea of making the game more challenging across the board, by more restrictive, but not to the extremes of hardcore. It's like I like those moments where you do find or somehow accomplish progression. Not like I did a quest, finally I unlocked 5 bazillion items, I only used 2 of them 24/7. That part. But I like the part where it's like, oh, like I got this minor upgrade for like this niche thing I can now use. Like I got a mount for my Keter, and now I got a Delta point I can put on there. Like, bam, it's it's like you're slowly building up different aspects. It's like kind of in with the stash too. Doesn't have to necessarily be in the raid constantly 24/7. It's like you can take little bits and bobs when you do succeed. It's I like that aspect. That's why I like the open world challenge coins, copyright protected by Church LLC. But because it kind of like keeps the traders, but still makes it more challenging. Where you have to like yeah, you can buy from the traders, but you got to like do map to map travel and like go there, buy it, and then go back to your hideout, taking that stuff you bought. So it's like you got the weight mechanics. Like I remember once, like I've only did like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 10 raids, 20 raids, maybe. I don't remember because the game ended up wiping. But I remember one time, so like just a very brief summary. Your hideout was at factory, and you mechanic was at factory, I think. Well, technically your hideout therapist was at your hideout, but like to leave your hideout you had to go through factory, and then from factory, based off the map, you could go to like woods, customs, reserve, it's some other place I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I really need to get guns. It's like you keep your everything you start with on standard account, blah blah blah. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to reserve because that's where I put Prapper, and then I buy a bunch of SKSs from Prapper, and then I go back to factory and then put it in my hideout, And I died, but it was like still fun to go, with the factory. Bought some stuff for mechanic, probably like some ammo for my MP5, and went to reserve. I think I killed a guy with a shotgun I had, and I got to loot him. That was a lot of fun. And then left, bought a bunch of SKS. I think I bought like 2 SKS because that's all I could fit in my backpack, right? So like half of it was SKS, the other half was just like random junk. And it was like trying to extract the factory, but I died because it's freaking, late wipe the freaking. But it's like a really fun concept. I don't know if you could like actually like it'd be interesting to play. This is the thing with like these challenges is like they're like extra challenging because not everyone's participating in the rule set. So like you try, like I guess you could try to like work that into it, but it'd be really fun if everyone was participating. That's the catch, That's why like I kind of want to do a challenge at the start of the wipe because then it's like the gaps aren't so massive,
Yeah, everyone's kind of there or thereabouts. Like you're going to run into people who aren't playing as much, who are only level 3 or whatever, and you're, if you're playing a bit more, you're probably higher level, but you've got worse stuff because you're not buying anything from the traders. And I know exactly what you mean. I was mulling over in my head. I was like, how could you even do this? Like you have like an ongoing, like, like they do with the tournaments or something. I was like, how could you do it so you have like an ongoing league where people like organize to play? Like it would just be, it's just too logistically complicated. Do you know what I mean? Like you organize to play.
All right, everyone connect to the Dubai servers at this time.
But not even that. Like you just play offline, offline co-op, and then you take a snapshot of the stuff that you got out of raid with, and then you buy it on your main. All right, and then so let's put it this way. So you start with nothing, and you go into an offline co-op raid.
Okay.
With a bunch of other people who are also going to be playing this game mode with you.
Oh, so you're doing this late in the wipe where everyone's getting a lot of money.
Not necessarily. Yeah, I guess so, but like not necessarily. But yeah, I guess you need some money to facilitate this. You go into raid and you do like whatever it is that you do, and you leave. And then whatever you leave with, I guess like you either just need to take a note of it somehow, or you at least need your PMC to have the stuff that you're going to take in for the next raid. So you need to keep some kind of track of the inventory or whatever. But you know what I mean? Like do it like fake kind of thing. Because obviously nothing in offline carries over, but you could just like pretend that it does. You've got like your stash with like the items written down, and like whatever you go in with, you just buy it on your regular PMC because it's like going to be nothing compared to the actual money that you have in your main account, presumably. Especially if it's like really cheap stuff. I guess it depends actually, but probably. Yeah, you do run into issues there. Like, what if you need an ultim, but you don't have an ultim, but you can't buy an ultim? Like, there was so many logistical problems with it. But I was like, could you somehow do it in that way, like with the way people do, tournament matchmaking or whatever, and then you just like keep the score outside of raid and like somehow run like a hardcore grouping of people so that everyone's always playing on the hardcore rule set. Do you see what I mean? That was the idea.
I kind of see what you're saying, yeah.
So you're not playing with people outside of that ecosystem, but you do it all in offline mode. I was like, I wonder. Because you could do it as a one-off, right? You could do like 0 to hero. You could do like a 0 to hero battle royale kind of thing, which would be quite funny, probably. It's like, you have to do certain things, whatever, and everyone starts with nothing, and everyone's like running around trying to find a gun and stuff. Like, it'd probably be quite funny. But it's like that'd be like a one-off. But I was like, how could you like keep consistent progression? I think it's too much though.
When you said co-op, I was thinking literal like teaming up together. But you're saying like you get
co-op offline, yeah.
It's as many people on opposing solos, and then they play, and then the winners and losers buy the stuff and then do it again. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. No teams. You keep a track of the inventory yourself.
That could. I mean, there might be something there.
Maybe, but I was like, it's too tough. I just don't think there's any way. And then you have to organize to play as well. Then, like, it's just so laborious.
It is a bit laborious, but it's maybe with some more support on the offline co-op stuff.
But that has given me a cool idea for like a random game mode where you do certain things in offline, and you everybody starts with nothing, and then you have to run around and do like is everyone's playing 0 to hero, and you have to go and do a certain. I don't know what you do. You have to go and do certain things. Maybe you have to go and you have to visit certain areas on the map, or you have to, I don't know, be the last person to be at a particular location. Like you're either the last person standing or the person to be like on this point when the raid timer hits 0 or something. You could kind of do it like that, so it forces people to go to that point. But yeah, I was like, I've been mulling over lots of random stuff recently after playing hardcore, because I'm just like, man, it'd be so cool to have this kind of experience, but joined up. Because every time I talk about it, people are like, oh no, you're going to split the player base and all this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but at the same time, like,
who cares?
I still think it would be cool. I still think it would be cool though.
Oh my god,
Player base
Call of
and
Duty
player
has
base.
search and destroy and team deathmatch. The player base, it's so split. What will we ever do?
Yeah, combine all the times into left hand only and then do it. It'll be fine. Left
I
hand
don't
time
think
slot
it's
only.
that. I mean, I'd say I don't think it's that big a deal. There might, because of the way Tarkov handles things, some regions might be more affected than others. I'm looking at you, Australia,
Exactly.
but who cares
Anyway,
about Australia?
lots of fun ideas. It's been really fun so far. Yeah, got a bit bruised last time when we played, but we were completing stuff. We found the Salewers. I'm still trying to find the 133 shotguns. It's actually really hard because I did actually find both of them, I think, but then died on streets. Like lots of people, it's so funny. Just the crowdsourcing of information usually works relatively well when you're streaming, but playing hardcore, it's like everybody's got a different opinion on where you should go, what you should do, where's going to be good, and where's not good. Like tons of people are like, oh, you should play streets, you should play streets. Like I've only managed to extract from streets once. Like getting out of streets is not that straightforward, and especially not on hardcore. But I did definitely make some mistakes, like loading up on streets is so easy to load up on loot. Loading up on loot like in the starting location and then having to lug like 50 kilos across the map is not the play. Like you should just go to extract really, like loot a few key points and then move where you need to go and then loot at the end, I think, because there's so much stuff on streets that you can actually afford to do that. Like other maps maybe less so, but streets, like yeah, you can get really pinned down. But I just find it hard to get out of streets. Like there aren't really like safe routes like there are on other maps.
Yeah, it's
Like you normally have to cross that main street somewhere. It's like you have to go through post office, which is pretty hot. You go through the middle by Lexos and Sparger, which is pretty hot in construction, or you go across the street all the way at the other end. It's like right out in the open. It's like, oh man, like it's just not that straightforward to navigate that guy.
yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience, but it does feel like there are certain parts of the map where you have to expose yourself, like you have to cross a choke point to get to your objective. But I mean, that's I don't know if that's more than say at some other maps. I don't know, but we will see, I guess.
Yeah, dude, it's been wild. I'm enjoying it though. I'm glad that I've done it. It's been funny doing it like so late in the wipe, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like some people ask me as well, like whether I would consider doing it right from the start, and I think playing hardcore right from the beginning is actually pretty fun for a lot of people, but purely because of the content side, like I won't do it because there's a requirement to get to a certain progression point, just so that you can showcase it and make the full variety of content that you want to do, and because I'm so much more of an educational and tutorial type channel. If I was entertainment channel purely, then that would be maybe okay, but it's just like not my usual slant. Although I will say that I did try really, really hard with the hardcore video that I put out the other day. Tried super hard. It's like 17 minutes long and it's basically 3.5 hours of footage distilled into what's just over 15 minutes, which it's probably the best one I've done so far. It really is. It takes a phenomenal amount of time to cut all of that down, as I'm sure you're very aware. Like taking long raids and cutting them down in a way that's sensible, narrating them in a way that makes sense, and having it so that it doesn't just like, because you can go too far, right? And you can like cut it about so much that it stops making logical sense. People lose track of where you are on the map and things like that. And you want to make it accessible enough to people who like don't always play those maps either, right? Like if somebody doesn't really play reserve, you don't want to just cut from one place to another with no intersection in between and be like, oh, well, I don't even know where we are now. Like you need to help people follow through the maps, but then try to keep it within the time, not like being like so long. Because I didn't really want to edit like an hour and a half movie particularly.
Yep.
That's even harder in some ways. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, I've learned a lot trying to do it. But I think it was I'm proud of it. So if anybody hasn't gone to watch the first actual YouTube edited version of the hardcore stuff, then go and watch it. I'm proud of it. I think you'll find it fun, and it's got a cool ending. So
yeah, man, it's funny you say that because I pitched an idea to a couple of guys, like, hey, this next swipe, what do you guys think about joining me on doing like a open world challenge? It was like I pitched it to Shootaville and Avni, dude, and the idea was like on our second accounts, because like obviously like even if you are like an entertainment content creator, quote unquote, you still want to like do the new content stuff, you know, because it's like there's entertainment in that as well. So it's like it's such a tough thing. I was like, hey, okay, we'll do it like on the side, you know, like we'll play our mains, but like we'll have like agreed times that we can meet to like play together on our challenge accounts, you know, and like try to like do it along the way. But I don't know. I think Abney Dude is just like, I don't think I can do that, Church. Like, I was like, come on, man, you know you want to. He's like, I do, but it's hard enough playing Tarkov as it is.
Just playing your main and trying to grind that.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, that's a lot. Like, especially like, you know, someone like, I mean, just enjoy, like, you know, you get your real life, then you get your like entertainment life, then you get your like side hustle YouTube life, then you got like the side hustle YouTube life. You know, it's just like it's a lot. So I totally understand it, but Chitterville might be down, but I don't know if I'm even going to be down. I think I might need to wait and see what the patch looks like at this point. But
yeah,
I would love to do it, man. It's just you know, playing for fun is one thing, but then also like committing to it and like trying to like extract some content from it is like a whole other thing, and it's tricky, man. It's tricky.
That's the thing, you know, and it's a big time investment.
It really is. It's because that was like the first thing I did on my channel was the open world challenge and get God. I think I spent like a month because that's how I learned. That's like when I started editing. I think I spent like a month on my first video just because I had to learn everything as well. But I don't know, dude. We'll see. I would honestly just like to do it just for fun as well. But it'd be fun to do it with in the early parts of the wipe where the gaps aren't so big, and then B with a duo as well. It's kind of like you got someone else doing, you know, participating with you, which kind of makes things interesting. It could be fun.
Yeah, it could be pretty good. I think the duo thing is nice just because you have that back and forth as well. Like playing solos.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's a different vibe, but
it is
kind of like, is it less entertaining? I don't think so necessarily, but it's like it's just different.
Well, from a content perspective, I think the dual POVs can be interesting. From like a consumption standpoint. And there's also like, you know, you can like coordinate stuff. Like it makes it a little bit more interesting in some ways, but it's probably just a minor buff in that regard.
Buff.
Yeah. to the enjoyment factor.
Plus 10% to enjoyment.
Yeah. I'm not sure how meaningful it is, but I don't know. I like it.
So I think that's all the Tarkov-y stuff, to be honest.
Yep.
I think that's everything. We're just carrying on, doing the thing, seeing where we get to. I don't really have a firm goal for my my run. I guess it's broadly speaking max traders, but like, you know, we're never gonna make it there for the wipe.
It's about the journey, Giga.
Exactly. I'm having fun with the journey. I don't really care about the end results. We're doing the quests. We're trying to do the stuff. It's just it's a different way of playing. You know, you're picking up buckwheat to do the barter for the 133, so you can get Jaeger and stuff. It's just like it's different. So it's cool. I think it's actually quite good practice for the wipe as well in many ways because it teaches you what all the important barters are. So you normally don't have to really worry about them. Now you know a couple of the really good ones, and outside of that, you're like whatever. But knowing like, oh, I can use this for that thing, or I can grab this for that thing. You know, it's like it actually is kind of handy to remember all of those. And I don't remember them all, so I'm like teaching myself those things. So yeah, it's good. It's good. And using like the rubbish guns as well, which obviously I did until I killed the juicers. I got like a awesome like 85-meter headshot with the 6-shot like 9mm revolver on streets, which I was hey, it was on a scav, but even still, I was just like, got him from miles away. I was like, yeah. I mean, it feels like a long way when you're an iron sight like stubby revolver. It feels far. Feels far. So yes, it's been good. You've been playing anything else? What else have you been up to? Have you got anything on the blend?
I did get myself Battlebit over the weekend last week.
Interesting.
And been playing with some friends. It's fun. I mean, it's I yeah. I mean, $15, man. I think everyone should. I guarantee you, you can easily put in 15 hours. So you know,
yeah.
It's great. I think it's pretty solid, man. It's a good game. You know,
Yeah.
it's like nothing revolutionary or new, but I just think that it's simplified in certain aspects, but still maintains a lot of the aspects that you would want to be more in depth. Like the recoil modding is like there's a fair amount of depth there. The game modes, the strategy. Like honestly, I wouldn't mind watching like an esport event, like a 32-32 domination or conquest or rush, like some type of like I'd actually be down to watch that. I think that would be pretty entertaining on Battlebit.
Yeah.
But I think the graphics ultimately work in its favor, like because it's sort of very easy to get into. You know what I mean? It's like it is basically Roblox, but like it's kind of works in its advantage. You know what I mean? It's like
it's very clear what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few instances. Like sometimes I find it kind of hard to spot people, but if they're like staying still, but like arguably that's a good thing as well. You know what I mean? So like sometimes you do stand out like a sore thumb if like you're skylining, but like this is the same in other games. You know what I mean? So it's like the game's easy to run. You could probably run it. I don't know what the specs are, but I'm sure you could run on some pretty low end gaming stuff.
I got a pretty good toaster. Probably is a good.
Running on my LG refrigerator, bro. Let's go, dude.
It runs on the monitor. You don't need anything else. Just the monitor on its own.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, just like you don't have any performance issues. Probably 90% of people don't. I mean, I don't know. I think it's great. So I'd highly recommend getting it. Get a couple friends to get it as well. Play with some boys. Make new friends. The VoIP in there is hilarious. People are absolute goblins. It's pretty fun. 9 out of 10. Okay, can't give a 10 out of 10. That's reserved for Tarkov. Kappa.
Yeah, so I haven't actually played that much more because I think we've all just been busy, and I've been busy and doing other stuff. I didn't really want to play it on my own. Like it's fine. I played it a little bit on my own before, but I'm just like, I'll just wait for the people to come on and enjoy it together with them. So
it's a great game with friends.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like dipping a little bit back into. I got the Factorio itch again a little bit, so I was like dipping back into that game a touch, which has been cool. But no, it's a good blast. Just blast around and just have a chat with people and stuff. I mean, I keep getting recognized by people though, which is hilarious. I think it's like a lot of the Tarkov communities disappeared over there, and I was like talking to a friend about it, and I was just like, yeah, people keep like recognizing who I am. And we were playing together, and someone was just like, "Yo, GigaBeef, is that you? Hey man, love your videos." Just like I was like, he was like, the fact that you told me before, and then like it happened while we were playing. We were only playing for about an hour. He was just like, "Oh, I see it now." He was like, "That's pretty entertaining." It was just like I think just the number of people who have gone over to BattleBit just as a bit of light relief over from Tarkov is actually really, really high because it's kind of come at the perfect time. It's like the game's kind of if you don't want to be playing end of wipe events or you're bored or you're burnt out or waiting for the fixes and waiting for the patches, then you're playing other stuff. And BattleBit's like one of those games where it's super light relief but it's still FPS, and like a lot of people from the FPS genre have all gone and got it because it's so cheap, so everybody's bought it. And then you interact with tons of people because you see everybody's names. And if you're playing on the big servers, it's like 128 people. There are 126 other people, I guess, because 127. So you run into just like a ton of people who have the ability to contact you. So just like the meeting chance is just like through the roof compared to other games. So it's like not like meeting somebody in a Dota match, it was like 9 people play for an hour. It's like,
right.
How many like unique individuals do you meet playing like 2 hours of BattleBit? Like it's a big number, probably. It's like multiple thousands of people. So the chances are that you can bump into someone who knows who you are is actually probably a lot higher than in other situations, which is fun. But yeah, I mean, intrigued to get back into it, actually, do a bit more. Play a bit more of that, which should be pretty cool. I think there's any. Yes, sorry, you go.
I was just saying, I've been playing it, and I've gotten like sucked into the progression system because it's like you need like kills to level up the unlocks to get the mods for it, and like if you know me, I don't like using meta stuff. I mean, the Vector, it's got like the fastest TTK, and like everyone uses. There's like I hate one thing I do hate about class-based systems in games like these is like his in my experience, a lot of times the medics are like busted because they end up just healing themselves, and as long as you can have ammo for your guns, which essentially the other classes end up supporting the medic. Like
Yeah.
it's such a trend I find. But anywho, so I've been using some of the other like the DMRs, and like I finally got it upgraded where I could put the damage barrel on it. And now it's like actually kind of okay, which has been fun. But that's been what's like sucking me back in. But it's also just like so easy to pick up and play because you just run to objective A and die and rinse and repeat. You just keep doing that. It's like it's great. It's really easy to play.
Yeah, the DMRs are kind of a hard thing to use, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointed. Like I think like I think all of them are like 3 hits to kill and like 1 in the head and maybe 2 in the head because like the headshot multiplier actually isn't that high. But I don't know. There's some people I'm subscribed to from like other games. They're playing it and then they're doing like these movement videos because like you can like air strafe. Like it's very like simple in that aspect. So you can like just freely move around while like jumping. So there's like these crazy like jump, spin, healing, prone, stand up, like twisting your hitbox model. Like they're doing all these. I'm just like, oh my god, the gamers, I love them. But I can't be bothered to do that stuff. Not too. I'm not that
Move
try
Tech
hardy.
Incorporated.
Yeah, not really what I'm looking to do with the game, but it's still good. It's a good game. The other thing I wanted to say really quickly was, because last week I couldn't remember what it was, Project Wraith. I saw
Wraith.
Yes, I saw them tweet in a reply to one of BSG's tweets. They were like advertising their game there, which I thought was funny. But this was the game that I thought you were talking about last week because you were talking about We the People.
Oh, yeah, I was, yeah.
Now, this game, I haven't really looked into it that much, but like I'm looking at some of the screenshots I got here and like visually, to me, this looks a lot more polished and like closer to like Tarkov-y. Whereas We the People I thought looked a little different. And I did learn that We the People is being developed by some ex-military people.
Yeah.
Which to me kind of explains the really crazy weapon or the ballistics thing that I was seeing. But I'm kind of curious to see about Project Wraith because it looks like they've been around for some time, but I'm not sure how far in they are, what's like they're going for. You know, I mean, like I'll say this: I'm very interested to see. It's going to be some time, but what's that game that Bungie's making? Marathon, yeah. Because I'm hoping that I'm from my experience from the cycle. I'm really hoping that there's not there's going to be some like innovation involved. You know, like the cycle probably had like arguably one innovative thing. I don't think it was enough to really like differentiate it, and that was obviously the long live raids where you just spawn in the middle of the raid. I really liked that. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of the stuff they've really just copied over, like hideout, container, looting quests, blah blah blah. Even that one shitty mobile game that I played, it copied over a lot of stuff as well. What's it called? Lost Light. Yeah, the shitty. But I really liked their ranked mode because it had like instead of like having fixed extracts, you now shoot a flare to extract, and it was like you still like played like you usually would in Tarkov, but you got cards from looting in addition to the regular loot, and then cards from killing people, and the more cards you took out, the more points you got, and that like raised your rank. And like it was a fun like little game mode on top of the existing thing. But it's a mobile game, so it's not really that crazy, right? So I'm really hungry for something extraction shooter, whether it's Tarkov or something new. I'm hungry for something, and I'm hoping that these new ones popping up are a bit more distinctable.
I've just been going down, like while you've been talking, I've been going down a really random rabbit hole. So I've been looking at these screenshots, right, of this Project Wraith thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you come to a certain, I mean, it looks very much like Tarkov. You know, it's the G28 and the old, like the Reese face shield and stuff. And you come to a screen with a guy with a backpack and someone else is dead. And it's almost like, it's like a respawn screen. Do you see that on there? It's like partway, it's actually quite far through. It's like screenshot 13 of 15. It's like a respawn screen. So there's a guy stood up, there's a guy on the floor, and then it says,
What's the date?
oh, I don't know. I'm just looking
the
on
original
Steam.
tweet. Oh, you're looking on Steam. Oh, okay. I'm looking at their. I gotcha.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, no, I'm looking on the Steam page. Anyway, so it says in the corner, it says, so it says respawn. It says last nick left, MR 308 patrol 1.2 meters, like fatal hit left arm. And I was just like, I scrolled through to that, and I was just like, last nick left. I recognize that username. I've seen this person before. And I was just suddenly like, I was thinking like, where do I see them? We've gone to Grassroots Studio, right? Which is the guys who are making this thing. Last nick left, dabbling also of UE4. I think he's the project lead on this thing. Well, last nick left, as it turns out, has made like the fully integrated world map that went to Reddit for Tarkov. So you know when I did my world map video, last nick left put that world map together on Reddit.
Interesting.
Like I have a thing saved down from him called worldmapcleannick.jpg in my pictures folder because he compiled that like years ago, which is like that's a really weird crossover.
Well, how so? Or you mean weird as in the coincidence that it happens?
Just that I've seen him as well doing a thing within Tarkov. Not that like, oh yeah, no, they play Tarkov, that's obvious, but the fact that like, oh, he's gone and made a bunch of this stuff. He's like vector maps of like the full map. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's the one. Yeah. It's the Reddit post from a year ago. Full map of Escape from Tarkov V3 because he's updated it a couple of times. And it's like, oh, he's part of the studio making this game. It's just kind of weird, no?
Yeah.
Interesting. I quite like that. Huh. But yeah, it looks very Tarkov-y, but yeah, there's so many of these games right now. Like there's actually a bunch of I've seen like a lot of YouTube videos and things coming out being like, is this game is going to kill Tarkov? Da da da. And there was actually, I think it might have been Operator Drewski who like replied to one of them and just being like, these are things that are going to be Tarkov killers when they're Tarkov killers, you know, or better than Tarkov when they're better than Tarkov. They're so like, we're talking like screenshots and a few little bits of walkthroughs of maps. Like, do not underestimate the length of time and the amount of like dev hours have been spent on EFT. Like for the stuff that everybody gives it, you know, there's a lot of work gone on in that game, and the fact that it is functional and you can play it. And yes, there's problems, but you know, these games are so far from complete even that
I think
there's lots of people talking about this kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, well, maybe.
I think Tarkov's got what 10 years of development, if I'm not mistaken. Like they started in 2013.
Probably at this point, yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot. At least that's when Battlestate was formed. I'm pretty sure 2013, but that's just like crazy. So,
and this is the thing, they have runway because they're not like the cycle. They're not struggling for player base. You know, even though we go through peaks and troughs, all they have to do is wipe the game and everyone will come back. You know what I mean? Like they're a big game. Like Tarkov is a big game.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that. Like it's popular. It's not like Fortnite popular, but you know, and I wouldn't say it's like Valorant popular or like CS:GO popular, but like it's still pretty popular. Like I don't know what would be like an equivalent. Like it's probably less popular than Call of Duty, but like that's the thing. Like Call of Duty has cross-platform, right? So you got to think of something that's like Valorant, for example, like PC only. So I don't know. Like it's definitely fairly popular.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just going on like most games watched on Twitch by concurrent viewers for July. As I say, for the last 7 days. So Tarkov currently sits in number 32.
Which isn't bad considering the wipe.
Considering where we are, right? The wipe would normally have happened by now. Yeah. Like that's honestly not bad. The 32nd most watched game. Like it's more than Rust at the moment. It's more than PUBG. It's actually more than Oh no, but that's Modern Warfare 2. That doesn't really count. It's actually like right now. It's actually sitting right next to Battlebit. Interestingly.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing to
Um,
say. I feel like Battlebit's really interesting too because it's 3 devs, and I think they also been working on it for like 7 years or something. But I wonder how much of their success is from like people like Clean who like helped promote the game, and like as you said, there's a lot of Tarkov crossover. And I'm assuming, I mean, that's how I heard about the game was from Clean because he wouldn't shut up about it. Like prior to the release or remastered, I remember hearing about it. I was like, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I remember seeing lots of people just talking about it in general. So like I knew the
Yeah,
name of it without really knowing what it
right.
was about. And then there's a lot of value to that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing. Tarkov's dead, whatever. And it's just like, dude, it's still if it's still like in the 30 something now, then that's honestly crazy.
It's pretty good.
Actually, I was expecting it to be lower than that, if I'm honest.
Man, I would love to see some statistics from BSG, but anywho.
Yeah,
But when it comes on
there's tons of
Steam,
stuff that it's
finally be able to get to see some charts, concurrent player
yeah,
count, at least on
because that's
Steam
all we
side.
can know is watch time, can't we? That's the only thing that we
Yeah.
can know about.
Yeah. Anywho, so yeah, that was that game that I wanted to mention. A little PSA.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one, so another one to add to the list of things to keep an eye out for.
No.
What are we now? Dead Drop, Marathon, We the People.
Dead Drop. Oh boy.
What was this one called?
Project Wraith.
Project Wraith. Road to Vostok. What other ones are there?
There's a Project Quarantine. There's one that's like it's like similar to Vostok. It's like Tarkov, but kind of SP. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what that one's called. I think it's Project Quarantine or something. I don't remember.
There's a lot.
I did watch a Dead Side video. I might give that game a try. It looks like it's come, they've been updating it. Not sure if it's still, because it's like Tarkov-y. Yeah. It's like DayZ, but like Tarkov. Like instead of zombies, there's like scavs, and you get quests, like missions to do, and it's got traders. Like it's kind of got me interested. So I might give that one a try.
I think like the only things I've seen about Dead Side is people just like poo-pooing it. I don't know what. Like I don't really know much about the game, but
yeah, I haven't looked
things.
It's been some time since I've looked at it. I mean, the last time I looked at that was too early for me, but because I think even Veritas played it a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I might try it. But
yeah. Should you buy Dead Side in 2023? This was 4 months ago. Someone on Reddit, and the top comment is 30-day average player base on the Steam charts is 501. I would say it's not worth a buy in 2023.
Yeah, so that's the problem.
Not that really matters, but yeah, if it's a really quiet game,
it can matter. I mean, if you need like 100, if your ideal experience is 100 players on your map or server or whatever, then it might be difficult to fill that, right?
Yeah,
that's why I like Battlebit.
It's a great game, but the devs are trying their hard with a small team, but no one's willing to give it a chance. Like it's fun, it just needs a player base. Good game with great potential, but I struggle to play for long periods because of hackers and trader campers. Like maybe that's why. Can't imagine many people are hacking in 500 CC like concurrent players though, right? Surely not. Surely not.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm like, there's in Battlebit. Sometimes I feel like people are hacking, but I really don't know. And I'm just like, whatever, man. I think I've reported once, but I'm sure people are hacking. I'm sure of it because I think that's a Unity game as well. They have Unity.
There are people, yeah. Well, you see them ban like loads of people at once.
Yeah.
I had my first report come back for somebody on. It was actually the most egregious hacking that I've had this wipe. And this was maybe last week.
Oh, in Tarkov.
From the week before, and I was on shoreline hunting bloodhounds, and somebody was just like nading me like around ridiculous corners. Right, it was just like it was obvious and really stupid. And I just like I was running as fast as I could away, and like hiding down ditches and just getting naded like non-stop. And I was just like, yeah, this guy is like the most sus person of all time, and reported them, and they just like, yes, this player has been banned. They are obviously hacking. It's just like, okay, there we go. It's my first one. So I was like, yeah, that's what it feels like, and it was really blatant. So fair enough. I've never had any of the other ones that I've reported come back. Like I've had like, not sure situations where I've just like pressed the button just to see if it comes back later. Because like if you don't press it, you never know.
Yeah.
Even if they got banned, you would never know because you didn't press it. So you're almost incentivized to press the button just to see. But on all the other ones, I've never had anything come back. It was just this one. So interesting. Doesn't mean they weren't cheating, but you'd think that more of them would be coming back. And that sort of just like gives more credibility to my usual statement of just like, I don't feel like I see them very often. I've like reported all the sus situations and just like I never get the reports. Like you see people on Twitter and they get loads of reports back because they're doing high level PvP, going to the hot loot spots, whatever, playing at certain times,
Right.
like all this kind of thing. And like I just don't think I see many. I think this is true. And when the one time I did, I was just like, this is really blatant. This is so obvious.
Yeah.
So I think don't know, just like play style and timing and location and whatever. I think it plays into it. But anyway, yeah, all is good.
All is good. Yeah, I've been meaning to play Apex Legends. I haven't played it in so long, but been kind of itching for movement shooter stuff, and try that out. We'll see. I got it installed, but I haven't booted it up yet. It's still doing the Battlebit stuff. But
yeah, I quite like the way that the animations work in Battlebit. Other than like my gripes with hold or like toggle ADS, I do quite like some of the things that you get to grips with when you can start medding. You can start medding before it's even like come out of your backpack. You just like pressing the buttons, like medding, running, jump, like going prone, whatever. I do feel that there is some kind of like skill level there in the movement and knowing like what you could do. Like because you could like run and med and stuff.
yeah,
It's just like kind of I kind of like the freedom.
Yeah, the video I was watching, this guy was like, yeah, so you you jump and you circle, like you spin your mouse around and like they can't hit you, and he's demonstrating in the gameplay and like two guys are shooting at him and he's just healing them, dodging like Neo, man. And it's like, and then he pulls out his gun and kills him up. I'm just like, oh my god, he's so busted. Like I can't, like I don't know, I just don't want to bring myself to do that. I'm not that tryhardy and to me, it's just like it's a fun game to just like monkey brain push objective shoot gun. It's that's really what it was about for me. But
yeah, indeed.
Damn Zoomers. All right, bud. I think we're at the end of the show. As always, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, catch you later.